Hello and welcome to RefComm 2020. Thank you for your interest in learning more about Ruhrpumpen. My name is John Wong and I am the Global Decoking Specialist here at Ruhrpumpen. My role is to support OEM installations as well as revamp jobs around the world. Today, I'd like to give you a brief overview of our company and its products to help you succeed in your decoking operations. After a quick introduction about Ruhrpumpen, I'll touch on the various components of our decoking system, which sets us apart in the marketplace. Ruhrpumpen began in 1950 in Witten, Germany, with the sole purpose of maintaining existing pumps, and that would be all makes and models. There were a series of mergers and acquisitions in the mid-50s, 60s, and 70s, and eventually in 1996, the Thyssen board decided to go a different direction and sold off its pump business. In the meantime, Corporación EG was founded in Monterrey, Mexico in the late 70s as a CNC machine shop with a strong reputation for quality and operational excellence. It too acquired various companies, especially pump companies in the 80s and the 90s. Finally, in 1997, it acquired Ruhrpumpen since it was a perfect match with its business philosophy. Today, Ruhrpumpen maintains its world headquarters in Monterrey, Mexico, while the heart of the decoking operations is in Witten, Germany. And what you see here is the Witten, Germany office. There are many service centers and distribution centers to support our customers worldwide. In the span of only 20 years, Ruhrpumpen now has manufacturing capabilities in 10 locations. This chart is showing the trend over time of the size of the decoking drums. The top line, or the red line, shows that the flange to flange length of the drum steadily rises over time, while the blue line at the bottom is showing that the drum diameter is also increasing as well. So that means more volume of coke needs to be cut. Over the years, the coke is also heavier. Ruhrpumpen has always designed a 6,000 PSI system from the start so that it would cover the realm of all decoking parameters. So we've already designed for this trend. The heart of the decoking system is the jet pump, which is also the largest pump in a refinery. It is a BB5 design according to API 610 with a cartridge designed for easy changeouts. And easy changeouts are important because that means the pump is usually unspared and continued operation is critical. So depending on the cutting conditions, Ruhrpumpen may recommend an inline impeller design or a back-to-back design. And the advantage of a back-to-back arrangement is lower axial thrust loads, resulting in a longer thrust-bearing life. Jet pumps are centerline mounted to better accommodate for thermal expansion in the process. And as you can see, the flow rates, heads, and speed can be quite high to meet decoking requirements. Here's a typical decoking pump skid, which includes a 10-stage BB5 barrel pump, a gearbox, and a high voltage 3-phase induction motor with all of the lube piping connections. Here is Ruhrpumpen's patented test lab to conduct R&D. We were able to measure the surface area and force of the spray pattern. Ruhrpumpen is set up to conduct functional testing on the complete unit. This may also include the job decoking control valve as well as the job cutting tool. To properly conduct a complete unit test, it's important that the pump skid is on a massive permanent foundation rather than raised up on temporary supports. One of the requirements for API 610 is that you have to measure the vibration during the testing. And the reason for raising the pump up is to allow for the oil to drain back to the loop system reservoir by gravity. So we really, for vibration purposes, we really don't want to raise them up on temporary supports, but rather have the pump skid on a foundation. Ruhrpumpen's test facilities allow for the lube oil skid to be installed in a sunken area of the test facility to allow for gravity flow of the oil back to its reservoir. That way, the pump skid can rest on its massive foundation and not be subject to vibrations induced by being placed on temporary stilt supports. Through the port windows in the blue section that you can see, the long blue section, you can observe the water stream. And the length of this blue section simulates up to a 30-foot diameter drum. You're always welcome to visit RP's facilities to observe this type of testing. Here you can see a jet pump skid installed in the field with the pump control panel. And now I want to go into the cutting system. In this configuration of the cutting system, the wire rope starts at the hoist, goes through a single pulley to the crown block double pulley up here, and onto the traveling block double pulley located here, and terminates back at the crown block. Now the crown block has a load cell, which measures the wire rope tension. An absolute encoder is also used to accurately measure the travel distance of the cutting system. Depending on the licensor, the wire rope can also terminate at the cutting deck location, as I show in the next slide. Here, this licensor typically prefers termination of the wire rope at the deck, and here is where the load cell would be located, near the hoist. Like I said, some licensors prefer to have the wire rope terminate at the crown block. This is a close-up view of the RP's crown block pulley with the load cell and the encoder. And you could see that Ruhrpumpen utilizes the robust 24-inch diameter sheaves in its pulley blocks. RP can also do revamps on any existing system. So for revamp jobs and where there is customer preference, Ruhrpumpen can also supply an I-beam frame, a common base plate, as I've shown here in the bottom right-hand side, which makes the installation of the pulley system much more simple. One of the key safety features of the Ruhrpumpen pulley blocks is the double catch bars. So they are indicated at the bottom of each blue colored pulley, right here and over here. And as you can see, the purpose of these are to catch and safely hold the pulley and rope in the unlikely event that the pulley shaft ever breaks. Again, here's another close-up picture with the cover removed. You can see that the pulley is gear-driven and drives this absolute encoder here. And this allows for high accuracy measurement with no slip. We use permanently sealed bearings, which will enable a maintenance-free operation. Moving on to the hoist. The hoist has two different drive options, electric motor with VFD, and as well as hydraulic driven. And inside, it's an integral gear cartridge, and the pull force is up to 11,000 pounds. Once again, the tension is measured via a load cell at the crown block, where slack rope and this tension are indicated at the main operator cutting panel. Here's a close-up picture of the motor with encoder. So not only is there an encoder at the hoist, at the hoist motor, but there's also one at the crown block. And when we remove the cover, you can see the working brake, which is actuated by an electric solenoid, as well as the backup safety drum brake. So in all, there are 3 brakes, redundant system. The working brake, the safety drum brake, as well as the electric motor brake. Now let's move to the crosshead with freefall arrestor. The crosshead is designed to operate between 2 guided T-rails, and its 4 guided points are here, and it's supported by 3 wheels each, which we'll see in detail in the next slide. The drill stem drive is electric motor driven, and the freefall arrestor is built into the guided points here. You can see up close what the roller guides look like. It's a 3-wheel system for very smooth operation. Now, the freefall arrestor system works in such a manner. It acts on a broken rope. So if you lose the force, the holding force of the wire, it breaks, for example. You then have a spring, which is located in this round-shaped canister, pushing the linkage mechanism. And this linkage enacts the cams to rotate. And when the cams rotate, it presses onto the T-rail. So the faster the fall, the greater the grip will be on the T-rail. And tungsten carbide bits, which are located in the bottom of each cam I've shown here, are able to grab securely onto the rail. We can do field testing during commissioning, as well as recertifying the freefall system every turnaround or every several years, whatever the customer prefers. It has a weight capacity of 9,500 kilograms, which is 20,000 pounds. And as I mentioned, there is functional testing available at your sites. The drill stem drive has primarily a VFD-driven electric motor. Has a high capacity load bearing, as indicated here, the slewing ring type. It's grease lubrication with auto greasers, which means very, very low maintenance, and there is no oil in the system. So there's no oil bath change. We also have cartridge packing for the seals. Taking a look at the exploded view here, we could see that the center, this is the center bull gear design, and it's very similar to what is used on a crane. In fact, that is where the idea came from. Ruhrpumpen has revolutionized their decoke cutting equipment with innovation and safety by bringing in proven technologies from other industries and adapting them to the coke cutting equipment. Here's a simple cross-sectional. You could see that the drill stem here is attached to the lower cover, which is attached to the bull gear, which rotates from the gearbox. And again, it could be a pneumatic or an electric motor here. Here's a picture of 2 units. This is the crosshead with the drill stem drive installed in it. Kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like overall. And here you see the crosshead with drill stem drive on the T-rails, and you have these latches which will hold the crosshead mechanism in the park position. I'd like to touch on the drill stem just a little bit. Drill stems were first designed as welded sections. Then in the 80s, it became threaded drill stem. And because of the high demands of the coker unit, and in particular the decoking equipment, there have been many attempts to solve the weak link in the decoking drill stem, which is the threaded connection. So currently the licensors have approved the Extreme line as well as the Hydril Mach 2 design. But Ruhrpumpen also offers not only the traditional API Extreme line, but also offers an RPX Premium as an option. And this is designed for true drilling in the most severe decoking service. So you can see that the internal upset wall thickness expands 20 inches from both shoulder ends. So from this end, 20 inches in, and from this end, 20 inches in, is where the taper occurs. And this provides for added overall strength and also makes the connection stronger than the pipe itself. Here's a cross section of the RPX Premium, double shoulder inside and out. So here's where the shoulders are connecting, and it seals off the thread from the decoking water. And we also have a very different thread profile, which are V-shaped with radiused roots and larger pitch and a steeper pitch angle. That all contributes to a superior thread. Okay, I'd like to change directions and go to the cutting tool. Ruhrpumpen has the slimmest cutting tool on the market at 13.75 inches. You can also see that the cartridge here, the auto switch cartridge, is above the cut nozzles and 90° to the cut nozzles. And because of this, it's a bolt-in design which is replaceable on the deck so that the tool never has to leave the unit or be removed from the drill stem just to change out the auto shift cartridge. Also on the bottom here, we have a long, thin, heavy-duty lower cover with protection plate, and this protects against plugged drilled nozzles when checking the outage or with a stuck tool. I want to also emphasize that the RP cutting tool has no oil bath as it's completely driven by water. So there's no maintenance having to change the oil regularly, and of course, no contamination of the oil. You could see in this video, I'll start it. You can see that the pin extends when water pressure is applied and retracts when water pressure is removed. Here, I'll play it again. You can see it extends and switches, it retracts, and then it pushes it in the other direction. And this is what determines cutting mode as well as drilling mode. The ball-shaped valves internally are double-coated and no seals are required. We have the drilling nozzles on the bottom and the cutting nozzles on the sides. For the cutting, if you look at the bottom left-hand picture shown here, we have a dead center main drill nozzle with 40% of the flow coming out, and 3 auxiliary nozzles at 0 or 10 degrees outwards with 20% of the flow in each. So that accounts for the remaining 60% of the water. 40% in the middle, 60% on the auxiliary nozzles, excuse me. And this creates a water pattern similar to a drill bit, which allows us to cut a straighter pilot hole faster, and that results in less coke fines. We've optimized the flow diverters and nozzles to ensure laminar flow as much as possible, and that reduces overall cutting times. Here I want to show you how we can manually switch the cutting tool. You remove the cutting cartridge plug, you install a overriding pin, you use a lever, which is provided as standard equipment, and push downward to pull the pin. And the biggest advantage is the operator is not exposed to the outpouring of hot water. And I'll play this as a video to show you how easy it is done. So here we're removing the cartridge plug. Installing the manual override pin. We're using the lever to pull on it, on the pin, and there you go. And that is auto switched. So you can see he is continually pulling it to show the different switching modes. And of course, you reverse the operation. You pull the override pin out, and then you replace the cartridge plug. So each new automatic cutting tool leaving the factory has been functionally tested. Other NDE can be performed on request. But I want to assure you that any repairs or upgrades also get tested in our test labs. And there's a test lab in Houston as well as in Germany. We can offer tool enclosures. The guide device seen above here is bolted onto our rails, which provides a much more robust system compared to what's in the marketplace. The tool enclosures are used, and this is fixed on the top unheading device, of course, when a top unheading device is installed. And it provides safety when the tool is outside of the drum. And it comes with a large door, which provides easy access to the cutting tool. So here you could see that there's no venting flange since the top is open. But if you do need a venting flange for vapor recovery, we could also close the top on this as well. One of the features is that our tool carrier, our tool enclosure has a cutting tool carrier, which holds the tool and swivels out for easy tool maintenance. Because it's just a little, it's a tad heavy for an operator to hold, and it certainly isn't safe. So this feature is really useful. And you can see another picture of this here. The top of the tool enclosure has a glide disc, which accounts for any misalignment. All right, well, this is the end of the presentation, and I want to thank you for your time and interest. For further information, please visit our website at Ruhrpumpen.com. Have a nice day.